The Ukraine war has escalated into a significant geopolitical crisis, with far-reaching consequences not only for Eastern Europe but for global security as well. One of the key dimensions of this conflict is the controversial transfer of weapons from Western nations to Ukraine, and how this has shaped the war's trajectory. The Ukraine war began in February 2022 when Russia launched a full-scale invasion of its neighbor. What initially seemed like a quick military operation has transformed into a prolonged and bloody war of attrition. Russia's ambitions to take control of large swaths of Ukraine have faced stiff resistance, primarily thanks to Ukraine's military capabilities and international support. From the outset, Ukraine has received substantial military aid from NATO and other Western countries. This support has included everything from small arms and ammunition to advanced anti-tank systems like the Javelin and air defense systems such as the Patriot missiles. However, one of the most controversial aspects of this support has been the provision of long-range weapons. Long-range weapons, a game-changer. Long-range weapons, particularly HIMARS, high-mobility artillery rocket system, and cruise missiles, have shifted the dynamics on the battlefield. Ukraine has used these to target Russian supply lines, ammunition depots, and even military installations deep within occupied territories. As a result, these weapons have helped Ukraine halt Russian advances and even recapture some territories. But the use of these advanced systems has not been without controversy. Russia views these weapons as an escalation, arguing that they blur the lines between defensive and offensive capabilities. This has led to warnings from Moscow, with President Vladimir Putin recently stating that allowing Ukraine to use long-range weapons to strike inside Russian territory could drag NATO into a direct war with Russia. For NATO and Western governments, the decision to supply Ukraine with these weapons has involved a delicate balancing act. On the one hand, these weapons are crucial for Ukraine to defend itself against Russia's superior numbers and firepower. On the other hand, there is a genuine fear that their use could provoke a wider conflict. Several European nations have been particularly cautious, often limiting the types of weapons they send to Ukraine. For example, Germany, which has been a major supplier of military aid, has been reluctant to send advanced tanks or long-range artillery due to concerns over provoking Russia. Russia has retaliated to these weapons transfers in several ways. Apart from the battlefield, Moscow has ramped up its rhetoric against the West, accusing NATO of waging a proxy war against Russia through Ukraine. There have also been cyber attacks targeting critical infrastructure in Europe, and Russia has severed several diplomatic ties with countries supplying weapons to Ukraine. The transfer of weapons to Ukraine has also raised questions about the broader implications for global security. If Western nations continue to supply advanced military hardware, will this set a precedent for future conflicts? Will it strain NATO's unity, as some countries hesitate to escalate the situation? Furthermore, how will countries like China and India react to what they see as a growing militarization of the conflict? These questions loom large as the war grinds on with no clear end in sight. One thing is certain: the transfer of weapons to Ukraine has not only influenced the course of the war but also heightened global tensions, as the world watches to see how this conflict will evolve. The Ukraine war has entered a dangerous phase with the introduction of long-range weapons, pushing the conflict closer to Russia's borders and threatening to drag NATO further into the fray. While these weapons have been essential in defending Ukraine, they have also raised the stakes, potentially leading to a broader confrontation between Russia and the West. As the situation continues to unfold, the world will be closely watching how these dynamics shape the future of global security.